you're a sky, 'cause you're a sky full of stars. I'm gonna give you my heart, 'cause you're a sky, 'cause you're a sky full of stars. 'Cause you light up the park. I don't care, go on and tear me apart. I don't care if you do. Ooh, 'cause in the sky, 'cause in
Hey, good evening. Welcome to all the family and friends, Rabbanim, in person, also online, who joins us for the Shloshim and Siyum for Nourin Bad Yonatan Zechrono Livracha, our dear Nourin. Yeshakov to Rafi and Rivka for hosting. I recognize Mrs. Bolag, who's here. Remember David's father, Zechrono Livracha, who is a big part of anything that's significant for the family, and we remember him today and always. And we welcome all of you who are here tonight, all the members of the extended family and all the friends. But tonight being the Shloshim, so we've had 30 days to process the terrible loss of such an amazing person. We have seen how beloved Nourin was and is from the incredible community response since her passing. The way so many friends have sprung into action with meal trains and WhatsApp groups and Nourin's army and Tehillim clubs and pre-Shabbat deliveries in her memory. You see the incredible impact that Nourin had on people. Her life of goodness, of kindness, of devotion has continued to impact people and inspired others to continue her path. Nourin was such a gem of a human being who serves as a role model for all of us, who's someone who had a big heart and had a really unique combination of warmth and conviction to do what's right always. She cared so deeply about David and her children, who meant the world to her and she was so proud of. And if we continue her path in the ways that we're doing, this will keep her alive in a very real way, despite her physically not being with us, which is so difficult. The last week we read Parsha Kitava, which of course has the Tovacha, recording all the tragedies, the difficulties that will befall the people of Israel if we stray from the Torah. And it's a difficult Parsha to read and hard to get through. And then this coming week, we have Parsha Nitzavim, which is Atem Nitzavim Hayom, that the Jewish people are standing. And what this reflects, it's a message for all of us, which is that after the challenge, God comforts the Jewish people, that they are still standing and they have a future. And to the family, to David and Maddie, Solomon and Emily, this is an unimaginable loss, but look around, and a family that is strong. You have a community that loves you and supports you, and you have a bright future up ahead. And this idea of Tochacha to Nitzavim, and everyone around you should give you chizuk, that you will be able to do this, you're able to move forward, carrying her memory with you. Like B'nai Yisrael, have a future with the Cube Surfers game, which is your favorite video game. You're gonna do great and have high scores coming up, and of course with everything else. Solomon, you're attending minyan with your father, and of course it's heartbreaking, but it's beautiful to see the two of you davening and saying Kaddish together at your school and also at the shul. And Maddie, volleyball team this year. You can have many victories and everything else and all the friends that you have. And so I know that your mother, Maddie, Solomon, and Emily, your mother was so proud of you. And she will continue to look down from heaven and be proud of you as you grow and accomplish and succeed. So I'm going to allow the other speakers. We have a Siyum tonight, and we have many other speakers. But Nourin was just such an amazing person, Balad Chesed, Tzaddiket. She really teaches us, exemplifies what it means to live according to the best Jewish values, and is something that we really have to be inspired to carry her path forward. It's a terrible, terrible loss, but we begin to process it, and if we carry forward her memory, that will only strengthen her legacy and will really keep her alive in our hearts and minds and in every other way. Regarding the David and Solomon saying the Kaddish, you heard it after Mincha, that Solomon has developed a custom, which is that he says shkoyach at the end of the minyan. And what that means, that's an incredible thing to say, Solomon, and you say it with such gusto and passion, and you said it after Mincha here. And shkoyach means yasher kochacha, that your strength should continue forward.
It's not to say yasher kochacha?
No, yasher kochacha is, that's if you want to say it in the full way, but a very Jewish way to say it is shkoyach, which is the way that you're saying it. So you could say it either way. And what it means is that your strength should continue forward. And that's a great motto to keep in mind for you and for all of us, that we should continue to have strength going forward, strengthen one another, always be inspired by Nourin. And Emir Tzashem, we have a bright future in the days, months, and years ahead. Emir Tzashem. Shkaya. There we go. Now we're talking. And David, of course, such a great guy. And we learn together on a regular basis. You're someone who always was so responsive together with Nourin and hosting people in your home. You were always a big part of that. And of course, we're here for you. And we're looking forward to learning together and davening together and sharing smachot. And we give you chizuk, all the way up ahead. And to that also we'll give a shkoyach. Shkoyach to you. Your strength should continue forward. Call upon Tzvika, cousin, to do the Siyum Mishnayot. We learned Mishnayot these last 30 days. That was just another thing that the community did in an impressive fashion to learn Mishnayot in Nourin's memory.
So I'm going to be taking credit for things that I haven't done, which is something that I've become accustomed to over my life, and I'm quite proud of. I learned one Masechet among the dozens of Masechtot. The Masechet that I learned is in Seder Nezikin. I learned the first one, Bava Kama, because I'm ever the optimist, and I thought if I start at the beginning, I'll end up at the end. Then I thought. The truth is, most of the Masechtot were taken up by our friends and family over here through the help of Rabbi Top and Joel Bolak, who hopefully is watching live or recorded. And so I thank you all very much for helping out in assisting with this Mishnayot. I mean, the army that Anna and the rest of us have I've spoken about as a physical and a spiritual army, and I'll have a word to say about that after the next 52 words. Okay, so I didn't learn Masechet Horayot, but it's the end, and in the spirit of a siyum, finishing, I'll say a little part from the last mission of Horayot, which I have not yet learned. So we'll learn it together. Perek Gimel, Mishnah Chet. Kohen kodem leLevi, Levi leYisrael, Yisrael leMamzer, Mamzer leNatin, veNatin leGer, veGer leEved Meshuchrar, Eimatai, Bizman shekulan shavim. Aval im haya Mamzer Talmid Chacham, veKohen Gadol, Am Haaretz, Mamzer Talmid Chacham kodem leKohen Gadol, Am Haaretz. I'm not going to translate every word literally, but what all of you other than I just learned is that you're born with a certain status. You're born as a Kohen, you're born as a Levi, you're born poor, you're born dumb, you're born rich, you're born humble, you're born with a certain status. And if you stay at that status, you'll retain that status. But the Mishnah, which starts with this structure and this hierarchy about the level of holiness of different people, continues, it says, the exception that makes the rule. It says, unless you're not just an Amaretz, you're smart. You're not just a Yisrael, you're a Talmid Chacham. And so you elevate your status, according to the Mishnah, the last Mishnah of Horayot, of teachings. You elevate your status based on what you do after you're born. Nourin was born in humble circumstances, and she and her family elevated themselves from those circumstances, so much so that the way that David and Nourin met was in those elevated circumstances, and thanks to those elevated circumstances. They met because Nourin was speaking abroad, as we all know, on behalf of the state of Israel, and David, who supports the state of Israel, at least used to prior to supporting Trump, went to this event and met Nourin and fell in love, and the rest is history. The point of the story is what we learned from this Mishnah is the life of Nourin and the Sumuli family, which is that you can be born into a status and you can be lucky to retain that status. But we learned from Nourin and her family is that you can transcend that status, so much so, even in 38 short years, you can transcend that status and you can leave your family with a legacy. I'm doing good, or the camera's doing good? Both.
I'm about to say.
We're about to. Thank you, and thank you. So I'm going to continue with the siyum, and before I do so, I'm just going to state the obvious for the sake of stating the obvious, because I like to state the obvious. Solomon, Maddie, David, Emily.
Where did Emily go?
Every single person here, every single person watching here, you shouldn't just connect with on LinkedIn, Instagram, YU Torah, or whatever social media is your preference. Every single person here is ready, willing, and able to elevate his or her status to help you go through what you're going through. We finished the initial period of Avelut, but it's always going to suck. We might suck less in the future, but it'll suck together. And we hope you give us the chance, Solomon, Emily, David. We hope you give us the chance to elevate our own statuses and help you in ways that we want to. So with that, we'll move to the Hadrons. Hadron alaf masechet shisha sidra mishnayot v'hadron alaf. Datan alaf masechet shisha sidra mishnayot v'datan alaf. Lo nitnei minach masechet shisha sidra mishnah v'lo nitnei minan lo ba'alma hade v'lo ba'alma date. Yehiratam lefanecha Adonai Eloheinu v'Elahei Avotenu shetehei tortecha emunatenu ba'olam hazeh utehei imanu le'olam haba. Chanina bar Papa, Rami bar Papa, Nachman bar Papa, Achai bar Papa, Abba Mari bar Papa, Rafram bar Papa, Rachish bar Papa, Surcha bar Papa, Adam bar Papa, Daru bar Papa. Herav na Elohinu et divrei Tortecha, צפינו בפיות עמך בית ישראל, והנה אנחנו צאצאינו, צאצאי עמך בית ישראל, כולנו ידי שמך ולמדי תורתך לשמה. ומאוהבי תחמקני מצוותיך, כי לעולם יהי ליבי תמים בחוקיך, למען לא אבוש, לעולם לא אשכח כבודיך, כי בם חייתני. ברוך אתה אדוני, למדני חוקיך. אמן, 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 סלע ועד. מודים אנחנו לפניך, נא אלוהינו, ששמת חלקנו מיושבי בית מדרש, ולא שמת חלקנו מיושבי קרנות. שאנו משכימים והם משכימים. אנו משכימים לדברי תורה, והם משכימים לדברים בטלים. אנו עמלים והם עמלים. אנו עמלים ומקבלים שכר, והם עמלים ואינם מקבלים שכר. אנו רצים והם רצים. אנו רצים לחיי עולם הבא, והם רצים לבאר שחת. שנאמר, ואתה אלוהים תורדם, לבאר שחת אנשי דמים, ומרמה לא יחצו ימיהם ואני ואפתח בך. יהי אותם לפניך נא אלוהי, כשם שעזרתני לסיים מסכת שישה סטרי משנה, כן תעזרני להתחיל מסכת ספרים אחרים ולסיימם. ללמוד וללמד לשמור לעשות ולקיים כל דברי תלמוד תורתך באהבה. בזכות כל תנים ואומרים תלמיד חכמים יעמוד לי ולזרעי שלא ימוש התורה מפי ומפי זרעים וזרע זר עד עולם. ותקיים בי בהתהלתך תנחה אותך ושפך תשמור עליך וכיתתה היא תשיכך. כי בי ירבו ימיך ויוסיפו לך שנות חיים. אורך ימים בימינה ולשמאלה עושה בכבוד. אדוני עולמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום פריז רייב. יתקרא ויקרא שמי רבה. ועמד דהו עתיד להתרחבתה ולחיה מתחה להסקה, לחיי העלמה ולמבנה קרתא דירושלם, לשכלל החלי בגבי ולנקר, פולחנה נוכרה, מארו להטבה, פולחנה דשמיא לאתרי, וימליך קודשא בריחו, במלכותי ויקרא. וחייכם ומכם וחייכו בית ישראל בעגלה ישמע קריב, ואמרו אמן.
אמן יהי שמי רבו מברך לעמי עמדיה.
יהי
Can you guys hear now?
Yes, Ellen.
Okay, thank you. Inflation, I don't know.
Hmm? Is that it? There's no more speakers? Yeah, I'm just gonna look at it. It can run.
What percentage
On a little tour. Can y'all hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay. So I'll just take you on a tour of the table so you guys can see. This is like the rabbi's table. Rabbi Block. Yeah, just wait. People on Zoom. Rabbi Safran. I'm sorry, I don't know your name, sir.
Levy.
Rabbi Levy. Rafi. Okay. Maddie and Eva. Just say hi to the people on Zoom. There's David. Some other friends. Just taking
Thank you
everyone.
for joining us. I'm sorry that it's not very organized.
But they can hear.
Thank you for joining. And if you want, you can skip to the recording and then just skip to the speeches. They're not very long. They're about, I think they're supposed to be 5 minutes each, the speeches.
We're just on a break right now, so people can get a bite to eat. There's Emily and Anna. Let's say hi to all the people in Zoom.
Hi, everybody. Who is in the Zoom? All your family.
All your family all over the world and friends. You want to show one of your mom's pictures?
Where are my friends?
Maybe they're here with their parents.
Do you want to look at your mom's pictures?
She's busy. Yeah? She's busy.
No.
There's another table. Say hi to people in Zoom. Zoom world. One more table. Just say hi to everyone in Zoom. Hi. Some more people that are on another table. Just feel like you're here. At my top, Svika, his wife, other family. That's David's mom, cousins. And that's it. That's it. So I'm gonna put back. Here's some other friends. Say hi to everyone in Zoom. Friends, neighbors. I'm just gonna put it back on this stand for you guys will see and hear the speakers when they return. For now, you'll just hear the background noise.
Rabbi, where the curriculum that the children learn, they choose where to go. Whatever they want to learn, they're learning on this platform in 2 hours. You put before them what you want to put before them. They take all the blocks they'll never ever get anything other than
going to call you up. And then Rabbi Safran following the list there.
The lady you are,
That's absolutely right.
Or you go first and you don't worry what that is. Whichever way you do it, whatever you use.
Anyway, I'd be interested to share with you guys. It's very, very
Okay, if I can ask everyone's attention, please. We're going to continue with the program. Call upon Rabbi Block.
Good evening, everyone. I may take off my glasses if it gets a little bit foggy. It's a constant theme. Birshus Kol Rabbanim Chashuvim. I was asked just to share a few words. I expressed a few things to David and Maddie that I've been asked to kind of share with the larger tzibur, with the larger crowd, and I want to really speak Me'omek Libi, from the depths of my heart, from what I've kind of been experiencing in a very different way throughout this time. You know, we get to Shloshim, and Shloshim is really the time in which it's another transition in Avelos. We talked about before, there are fewer restrictions. That's certainly one way of looking at it, that as we move through the different phases of Avelos, of mourning, there are fewer restrictions, more things become allowed as we go through this process. And Shloshim is another one of those examples. We get to Shloshim, and now there are more things that we're allowed to do. But the truth is, another way of looking at it is that as we hit Shloshim, it's not just that there are fewer restrictions, it's that we're allowed to engage in the world more. We're allowed to look and be more with other people, engage in society. And I think that means that Shiva and throughout these first 30 days, we're really, in the Paris was, and really think about and feel that loss. And to think about who that person was at their core. But then when you get to Shloshim, you start a transition in which you start to take those core values and bring them into the world. It's not just less restrictive, it's almost as a command, so to say, a mitzvah, to now bring everything that you have been figuring out, everything that you've been learning and grappling with, and bring that neshama, bring that essence into the world. So what is that exactly with Nourin? And I don't speak from someone who was, to be perfectly honest, necessarily, I didn't know her intimately, like many of you knew her, but I know the family, and I know Maddie, and I know David, and I know what I learned over the last few months, and I just want to share this idea, if it's meaningful to you, it should be something that we can take with us right now. We're entering the Yom Nourin, and the peak of this entire experience is the moment in which, at least back in the times of the Torah, where the Kohen Gadol would walk into the Kodesh HaKodashim, and in that moment he would become face to face with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. It was so holy that the Torah says, "Val Yava B'chol Eis," you shouldn't come whenever you want. You only come on one day. Moshe himself was able to come more often, but it was so holy that in that place was God's presence. The Kuzari tells us, the 11th century Rishon tells us, the Yehuda Halevi tells us that different names of God, we refer to God as different things throughout the Torah, different names of God refer to different elements of our relationship with God. So what Yud Kei Vav Kei means is not the same thing as Elokim. All the different names represent something. There's one that stands alone. It's quite unique, and that is the concept of Shechina, the concept of God's presence in this world. Usually, we assume it comes to the word L'Shachein, to really dwell in the world. So anytime we talk about God's presence in this world, it's a Shechina. So when we walk into the Beis HaMikdash, when we walk into the Kodesh HaKodashim, we're coming face to face with God's Shechina, with the part of God that dwells in this world. But Rav Shamshon Raphael Hirsch, the 19th century German Rav, the ardent defender of orthodoxy in the face of a lot of challenges, points out something remarkably beautiful. He says that Shechina doesn't just come from the word to dwell. Obviously, these two words are also quite related, but it also has that same related shoresh of a shachein, to be a neighbor. So what does that mean? God's our neighbor? Why is that interesting? There are many different ways to have relationships Sometimes relationships are imbalanced. You have someone who has an overpowering personality. And they can overpower someone. They can overwhelm someone else. They can impose their will on others. We see that sometimes in education, where we almost, we refer to it sometimes, oh, don't just tell me what to do, brainwashing, right? Whatever that term means. The concept of an overpowering relationship. And on the other side, there's someone who doesn't really care. It's apathy. The Rambam describes that in the Mishnah where it says, the Rambam says that there's a type of chaver that is just the type of friend that is just quid pro quo. You need something, I need something, we'll swap, but it's not real, it's not investment. So on the one hand, you have these overpowering personalities and you smother a relationship. And the other side, you have this concept of apathy. I'll use you when I need to use you, I'll get what I need to get from you, but that's it. A shachin is this ultimate balance. A shachin is someone who is always right next to you, always there, but doesn't live in the house with you necessarily. A shachin is someone who's not going to be overpowering, constantly telling you this and why you're bad and why you're wrong and what you have to do or what you should do. But the shachin is always there. The neighbor is always right next to you. The moment you need something, a piece of advice, you need to talk, the shachin is always there. You need salt, it's on the Erev Shabbos, you forgot to buy challah, that's a neighbor, always there. And it's not just one way. The other side is that you always see your neighbors. They model good values. You see that it permeates your being. You see what you need to see. You're constantly there. It's an ever-present piece in your life. The neighbors let you be yourself. They let you develop. They're always there when you need them. Says Rav Sham Raphael Hirsch, that's what God's Shekhinah is. It's not just a presence in this world. Shekhinah means that God's always there. Won't smother you. Won't allow you to lose yourself. Will help you become yourself. And you won't always be clear. And sometimes you can go for many periods in which you don't look to your neighbor. And you correct that. And you realize that no matter what, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, no matter what, God was always there, carefully guiding, always caring, modeling, being there for you whenever you need it. And from what I'm learning and from what I've seen, and from knowing Maddie and David and the rest of the family, I think there's no greater expression of the Shekhinah-like quality in this world than Nourin. We heard of her tremendous mentalkeit, tremendous balas chesed. I think, Maddie, you mentioned something at the Levaya. The story, it seemed like an innocuous story. The story of when your mom wanted to go shopping that day to the mall, or whatever it was, and you were unsure. And so there are a lot of ways that someone could react there. I know that you were talking about how grateful you were that you actually took that opportunity. But one of the things that I heard was that it's very easy when someone wants you to do something or feels that they can either be very imposing, be like, no, you're coming, or this is what you're doing, or the other side is like, you know what, okay, put the guilt on, fine, I don't want you to come. There is something unbelievable about what your mother was able to do in guiding you, in showing you love, in being with you, but not in an imposing way, but in a way that made you realize that this is something that I need. This is something that I want. This is how I grow. Not because someone's forcing me to, not because I would feel guilty otherwise, but because that's what a Shekhinah is. Shekhinah is right there with you at all times, showing deep love, deep commitment to the relationship, but allowing you to be yourself in that relationship. What an amazing bracha. That's what Shekhinah is. We develop ourselves with God next to us at all times. And I think that's exactly what Nourin was. If we talk about what it means to charge ourselves, what the charge is, what does it mean to take Nourin and to bring her core, her essence into the world so that it never leaves? What is that quality? So there's so much. One of the qualities that I'm thinking about and that I'm going to try to bring into the world myself, and I think that we already see it so much, is that concept of being there so deeply committed to relationships and allowing people to develop while you guiding and modeling certain things. Maddie, I see this all the time. You have I don't mean to embarrass you, but an unbelievable group of friends. You see Maddie, she is one of the most humble teenagers I've ever seen. And she's a rock for her friends, remarkably dependable. Remarkably dependable. Always there. Never smothering them. Never that overpowering personality. But always there for them. It's never, no one confuses her lack of being overpowering as apathy. She's always there. She's carrying it on. We talk about Revu. Revu not only means to multiply, but also to teach. What Nourin was able to teach and to pass on to the next generation, pass on to you. And I've seen the davening that you've done with Solomon, David, over the last, that's that concept of modeling, of being together, of saying, I'm here. I'm not going to overpower you. I'm going to let you develop, but I want you to grow. In education, we talk about this sage on a stage, someone who's in front of a room and just telling you. That's not ideal. In education, what ideal is the guide on the side. is the one who's kind of with you, going through the process with you, constantly holding your hand and saying, I'm here. Hineni, I'm here. But I want you to be yourself too. I want you to be Hineni as well. I want you to be present as well. This is exactly what Rav Yossi says in that second mission, in the second parak of Pirkei Avos, that the greatest derech, Ezer derech Yishara, Shidak Adam, what is the greatest, the most beautiful path, the straight path that a person should take in the world. Rav Yossi says it should be a shachi and tov. And right there, the Bartanura says that's what it means, to be there day and night for someone. You're constantly there. You don't change your residence. You're always there. I'll end with just one last piece as we head into this, into the next period of either re-entering the world, I should say, and entering the Yom Nourin. So we read this week in this week's parsha, we have the pasuk of the Ata Kisvu Lachem Es Ashir Hazos, that God says you should write down this Torah. It's a machlokes what it means, but at least one opinion is that it means, what is the song? That Kisvu Lachem Es Ashir, you should write down this song. What's the song? The Torah. One interpretation, it's the Torah. How could that be? It's a beautiful concept that Rav Kook explains. I think the Torah is a song. What is a song? What's a song? So there's a remarkable pasuk in Shmuel when the cows were returning the Aron Kodesh back to Klal Yisrael. It says, "V'tisharna haparot." The cows went straight. In the Gemara looks at that and says, "What does it mean by tisharna haparot?" It means that the cows she'amru shira, they sang. Just crazy. The cows sang. What does it mean? They were returning the Aron. They went straight. What is it? They're playing on words, right? Yashar and shir. They were singing. Cows weren't singing. What's the Gemara teaching us? Rav Kook says what they were teaching us was that shira, song, is the result of doing what we're meant to do in this world. That's what shira is. When we're keeping the Torah, it's a shira. When we're fulfilling our potential, it's a shira. It's a song. It's beautiful. It's melodic. It's harmonious. That's what shira is. When we're talking about what a real Torah lifestyle is, that's what we're talking about. The song that Nourin left in this world. The symphony that when you close your eyes and ears, sometimes you can really feel and hear. That's the symphony, fulfilling an unbelievable role in this world of teaching us what it means to be educators, teaching us what it means to love, to guide, to model. That's the shira that is left in the world beyond just these days and forever. So I give us a bracha that we're able to tap into those, to become a real Nourin-like Shechina presence in the world. And we should always be able to create shira and to tap into her shira and continue spreading it.
Amen. Call upon Rabbi Safran.
You know, about a week ago, I had the privilege of being able to give a shiur in memory of Nourin. And what I'd like to do actually for a moment is just give a little bit of a synopsis of the thought, because I think when we're gathered together here at the Shloshim, it's a good opportunity for us to you want to be able to take a message and you want to connect to the person that we're remembering over here. And there was something about Nourin that just repeats itself all the time. And not only was she a special soul, she was an angel. And a person, a human being, is limited by time, is limited by space. We have our likes, we have our dislikes. But when somebody is able to cross boundaries and find themselves comfortable in every community, comfortable with all different types of people, that's already a whole different level. It's a whole different standard. And what I want to share with you for a moment is everything happens by divine providence. And the parshiot we have been reading in the Torah as we get ourselves prepared for the month of Elul, for Rosh Hashanah, as the rabbi opened with, is Parshat Kitavo and Parshat Nitzavim. These are the weeks that we are reading about these preparations, getting ourselves ready for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. And in Parshat Kitavo, there's a very interesting reason why that parasha is read every year before Rosh Hashanah. 2 weeks before Rosh Hashanah, every year we read Parshat Kitavo. Because if you take a look at Parshat Kitavo, everything in Parshat Kitavo is about reflections. Reflecting. You start with the first mitzvah, is the mitzvah of Bikurim, bringing the first fruit. It's a time to reflect in Jerusalem, in Yerushalayim, say thank you, Hashem, for giving us what you've given us. And thank you for giving us this beautiful gift of produce and land. And throughout the parasha of Ki Tavo, it's all about reflections. The highlight that everybody talks about, as the rabbi mentioned, is the tochacha, that there are 98 rebukes that Moshe talks about as a consequence for not following God's guidance. However, there is a beautiful introduction to the tochacha that sometimes gets left out. And those are the brachot. Those are the blessings. And the beauty of blessing is one small blessing is so abundant. It doesn't need to be expounded. Just with the word bracha, just with one small blessing has the power, like a candle, to overpower all the evil in the world and all the negativity in the world. One small blessing has the power to change a world. And one of the most powerful blessings that Moshe gives us in Parshat Ki Tavo is the blessing Baruch Atah B'voecha u'Baruch Atah B'tzetecha. Blessed are you when you come in, and blessed are you when you go out. And all the commentaries ask the same question. The sequence is wrong. We begin at home, and then we go out. So first of all, I go out. So it should say, Baruch Atah B'tzetecha, blessed are you when you leave. And then, Baruch Atah B'voecha, blessed are you when you come home. We start off in the morning at home, we go out, and then we come back. Everything in life is about going out and then coming back. So why is the sequence backwards? It should say, Baruch Atah B'tzetecha, Baruch Atah B'voecha, blessed are you when you go out, and blessed are you when you come in. And Reb Shimshon Raphael Hirsch actually explains that Baruch Atah B'voecha means blessed are you in your home. Or Baruch Atah B'tzetecha, blessed are you when you're outside your home. And so therefore it makes sense. Rashi actually relies on the Midrash and the Gemara, on a very, very famous Midrash and a very famous Gemara. Rashi says, Shetehei yitziatcha ka'olam ba'olam keviyatcha ba'olam. That when a person leaves this world, they should leave the same way that when they came in. The greatest blessing a person can have is that when they exit this stage of their soul's existence and life, and they move on, that when people look at them, they should say, wow, this is the same soul that came into this world. Baruch Atah B'voecha u'Baruch Atah B'tzetecha. How do you know that you are blessed when you leave? When you look like when you came in. This is a famous midrash, and there are many versions of this midrash, of a group of people that are standing on a port, on a dock, and there's a boat going out. Now, nowadays, when you go for cruises, everybody goes for cruises, so there's no big hullabaloo. But once upon a time, when people would go on a boat, they would be traveling across the oceans. They may not see the people again. There was a big farewell. Everybody would come to the dock, and everybody would be waving and wishing them good. And this boat is leaving the port, and everybody's cheering, celebrating. And there's one simple person standing near the boat on the dock. Nothing. He's not joining in. 3 weeks later, word has it, they see the boat is coming back into port. And here the guy's jumping, celebrating, and everybody else is just standing around. Somebody comes over to him and says, I don't understand. When everybody's celebrating, you're standing there like this. And now you're celebrating and none of us. He says, when you celebrated the boat going out, you never knew whether the boat would come back. But now that the boat has gone out and the boat is coming back, now is the time to rejoice. We can rejoice when we see a complete picture. You know, one of the most beautiful, beautiful things we say about Sarah Imenu, Vayiyu Chaye Sarah, Mea Shana, right? That Sarah lived 100 years. And then it says Esrim Shana, 20 years. B'Sheva Shanim, 7 years. Sarah lived for 127 years, and it says 100 years, 20 years, and 7 years. And we know what Rashi says, also based on the Midrash, that she was Bat Mea Kebat Esrim. Bat Esrim Kebat Sheva. Now, when she was 100, she was like she was 20. The purity of a 20-year-old. And when she was 20, she had the beauty of a 7-year-old. Nourin wasn't with us for long, but she was that angel that affected everyone. And you know why she affected everybody? Because of what it says in this week's parasha. Atem nitzavim kulchem. You are standing firm together, all of you together. Nourin, from the first moment I ever met her with David, when you came to my office at the school, immediately I felt I was the best friend. And then if you go around what we call a room today and there's a tennis court, everybody will tell you she was my best friend. If she was your neighbor, she was my best friend. Nourin had a connection to everybody. David and Nourin, they davened by Rabbi Elias, but they davened by Rabbi Top. They davened by every single shul will tell you that they are members by them. Nourin was comfortable in every community. Solomon, Maddie, Emily. I have to tell you something. There are very few people in this world who touch so many people. It's very, very, it almost seems an impossible task. You had that mother. You had that wife. And she's with you. We don't see her physically, but her spirit is there. Wherever your mom was, wherever your wife was, she was always there. She wasn't bound by time and space. There was only one thing that she knew, that was love. The only thing she knew was to care and to love other people. When Moshe Rabbeinu said, Baruch atah b'vo'echa, Baruch atah b'tzeitecha, in his mind, he was pointing at Nourin. May her soul be bound in the everlasting with the Shekhinah. She'll protect you, she'll daven for you, she'll be there for you in different ways, and she'll be there for all of us, and she'll always be connecting us with each other. Beautiful, beautiful, amazing, beautiful. Amen. Okay. Where's Emily? Is Emily?
Emily, she went for a little break.
Okay, so maybe I call Racheli first to speak, and then Emily will sing. Okay, we'll call Racheli. And Emily's going to sing the song when she comes back.
Crying before I start. No words are really enough to express the deep sorrow that Nourin left us with. But David, Maddie, Solomon, Mona, it's been incredible to watch the last couple of weeks, the strength that you all have possessed. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu should continue to shower upon you the strength that you can make your mommy very proud. every person is blessed with a Bria Chatifon, a certain characteristic that makes them who they are, their underlying almost nature. From everything we heard, and beautiful like we just heard, Nourin possessed, she had a love and respect for every single human being. Nose ba'ol chavero, I think, was something that we constantly saw. When you told her something was bothering you, she felt your pain. When you shared with her about someone else who was struggling, joy, she felt it. Many times that I would be with her and she would tell me, oh, really, I feel so badly for so-and-so. My heart hurts for so-and-so. Whenever you shared with her, you saw it like steaming out of her. She felt it so, it was right there. Over the last couple of weeks, you know, like everyone has saying here tonight, that everyone who came in said, you know, I only met Nourin maybe once, even my own friends. The last couple of weeks, Nourin came, the last couple of months, we were honored to have Nourin and David for Shabbos with a beautiful family. And a lot of my friends met her. And they all said, I met her once, but I feel like I knew her forever. And everyone who walked in kept saying the same thing. Because when Nourin spoke to you, she zoomed into just you. You felt like you were the only person in her world. Am I right? You felt like she held you. It was an incredible thing. You met her once. There was no phone. There was no thinking about anything else. All she was thinking about was you. Right before Nourin passed away, the last Shabbos, we had you over. And over Shabbos, I think she must have said maybe 20 times something about she loves David and all her kids. She would go through, oh, Emily, I love my Emily. Oh, my Solomon, my Maddie. Oh, I love them. Because she appreciated. Many mothers, you know, we appreciate our children, but we appreciate them, you know, we love them, you know, some days more, some days less. Nourin appreciated her children, and David, whatever she had, she appreciated every second of her life. They were always. What comes along with this characteristic of appreciating every single human being comes along incredible hakaras hatov. Her hakaras hatov was tremendous. You did the tiniest little thing and she thanked you for forever. Nothing went unnoticed. Every little detail. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us all parents. We have parents. Kibbud Avim is there to teach us how to learn the needs of hakaras hatov. Nourin, Kibbud Avim was her. Every time I met up with her, she was always hanging up with her mother, calling her mother back. Her mother, her parents, her mother. They were in her heart with her always. They were always in her heart. And I'm confident, Solomon, this is for you. I'm confident that because your mommy took so much respect, respected her parents so much, even though they were miles and miles away, but yet she carried them with her always, you will always feel your mommy in your heart no matter where you go. Hashem's going to repay for that. She felt her parents with her always. You will always feel your mother with you. And I want to say also, Tante Mona, Uncle Rafi, Tante Pimpy, the same. Tante Mona, every time she just tell me, Mona, I know she does everything because she just loves me. She just loves me and wants the best for me. And Uncle Rafi, Tante Pimpy, she would tell me all the time how much hakaras she has. She's so grateful. She's so grateful. David, every conversation you were in, Baruch Hashem, she's so blessed. It's such a beautiful family. We have the whole Levaya, Sheva, Shloshim, I believe is there. Like we heard, I believe is there that the lave is supposed to be changed. We're supposed to leave like a different person. So if you could take everything we heard here, and like, you know, we said the kibbud avim, the kavod habrios, the nose ba'ol chavero, the zooming into every person, to love every person we talk to and give them our full attention, we can definitely change and bring a lot of change to the world. There's a story told about, I believe it was the Sfas Emes. He died at a very young age. And his two sons were having a discussion after their father passed away. One son said to the other son, Abba lived a Richas Yamim. And the son said, a Richas Yamim, how could you say that? He died at such a young age. He said, I didn't say a Richas Shanim. I said a Richas Yamim. Nourin might have had a short life, but she lived at Richas Yamin. Every day of her life, she lived to the fullest, full of appreciation, full of love, full of hakaras hatov, loving David, loving each and every one of you, loving everyone who she came in contact with. Everyone felt loved by her. So I give a bracha to all of us here tonight, that in Eretz Hashem we should live shanim and yamim, and we should carry on, take all those beautiful traits, implement into our lives, and bring a lot of nachat HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Thank you.
Amen. Okay, Solomon, you want to say a few words?
Hello, I wanted to thank everyone. Hello, I wanted to thank everyone for being here today. There's many words you can use to describe my mom. Some may think cunt, some may think sweet.
Start over, Solomon. Nobody can hear you.
So loud.
You scream at me for that.
I know I scream, but now you're loud.
Usually you're so loud, Solomon. Now you're loud. Usually very loud.
It's true. You're allowed to scream.
Hello, I want to thank everyone for coming here today. There's many ways you could describe my mom as. Some may think sweet, some may think kind. But there's one way I would put my mom as everything. I know I said one way, but it just comes out as all. I didn't need to even write a speech, because when you think about my mom, so many things just come rushing towards you, and you can just say speech by heart. My mom was a very special person. She would always put their family, her family before she put her. She would always make sure everything was good for us, and always make sure if we were doing in school, if we were doing good with our friends, and she was always worried about me. On the Shabbos, before my mom passed away, we were sitting in my room and we were talking, and we had a little chit chat. And she was saying, "Is everything good? Everything good?" And I said, "Yeah." And then we always had this joke. Once my mom made souffle, and she said, "Should I eat the souffle?" And then she was like, "Do what your heart says." Then I made a song. This is what my heart say, souffle. And she started cracking up. And forever I always teased my mom with that. And she'd always start cracking up. But it's a shame to be seeing all these new people under these kinds of circumstances. And I just want to again thank everyone for being here today, and shkoyach.
Beautiful. Oh, Emily. Hey, okay. Emily is up.
Emily, you want to share?
But you should stand in the chair.
One second, I'm going to find it on the sitter. Yeah, where my shoulder is. One second.
Hamala Hagoeloti Mikorav Yevach Etomela Riv B'chare Hashem Sheni B'Shem Avotai Avraham V'Yitzchak Beit Kularov
B'Shem Avotai, B'Shem Avotai, Avraham v'Yitzchak, v'Yigul Harav b'Kerem Haaretz.
Mishkan Kodecha Israel, Banim Berol Chasdecha, Ave Leitecha, Kodecha, Ve'iratecha, Adonai,
Come help someone. Need your help here.
Very good.
Okay, I think the program is supposed to be Okay. Okay. Yeah. Thank you to all the speakers and everyone for such moving presentations. Wow. David, I think wants to say a couple of words to wrap up the program and share greetings.
I actually didn't want to speak tonight, but just been very touched by everyone here who's here tonight and who is on the Zoom meeting. I mean, what can I say? Nourin would have been proud of all your help and opening up your hearts and coming to us. And I have barely been able to really mourn because I've been so busy with all your tremendous help. And I just want to bless all of you, and Nourin is blessing all of you and everyone in here and everyone who knows her to live a long, happy life. That's what she wanted. And Solomon, Emily, Maddie, Mommy will always be in your heart. You have told me many times you can feel her, and like Racheli said, you will continue to feel her. And we can do this together, right? We're gonna manage without Mommy for now. And Mommy's gonna be in your heart always. And you know what? It hasn't been much. You've been behaving the same way and even better. Mommy, I don't know what to say. Mommy would have been so proud of you, and she is so proud of you. I'm really at loss of words, and I wish everyone a happy Rosh Hashanah and only Simchas. It's been a difficult year, and hopefully Mashiach will come. Here we may know, amen. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you all so much.
Oh, yeah.
Very good. Very good. David, we wish you strength and comfort. Only good things. Yeah, the bird, Please, everyone,
Thank you.
enjoy the meal.
I don't know how to pick a haircut tonight.
Oh, that was so wonderful.
Yeah.